Hey, how's it going on, you lovely people at Shut Door Shutter coming back to you with a brand new episode of Craftoria. And today we are getting further into the Fissile Fuel whole process here. So this is what we're working towards as of right now, which is the fluorite sulfuric acid combination to then get hydrofluoric acid, and then that plus the uranium oxide gives us uranium hexafluoride. Now, between this episode and last, I actually posted a screenshot on the community tab of this monstrosity, which is actually just what we built last episode, compacted and made just a little bit better and then duplicated. And so, yeah, that is 100% what we have here, and that is fantastic. So what we're going to do is we're going to get water vapor. So that's our next step here to get the sulfuric acid. So we're just going to plop these guys down. I have went through and I've made sure to shift right click on these to make sure that none of these are connected. That way we don't have any interference or anything like that. And I actually have done that here and also here, here, and here. So that way we are just cruising. So we're gonna focus on one side of this episode, and then I'll cut and then just kind of get that side done and so on and so forth instead of kind of doing a combination of both sides. So this is going to be water input. So we're actually going to change this to deconstantin trading, and we're going to have to do that on all of these. But let's actually quickly toggle some stuff. So input on the back, and then our output is going to be the front. So let's clear this side. So output front, fluid back, and then we'll make sure, of course, energy is on the top because I think that's the only place we'll be able to put it here. So that should be golden. Okay, let's grab our configurator card. That's not what I meant to do. And that actually will change the thing here, which I guess that's not a big problem if it's just energy. Okay, so we're going to shift right click, and then we're just going to right click all these other machines here real fast. Okay. And that should get us kickstarted a little bit. You saw water vapor just appear in there. Let's also quickly go in here and look up mechanism and look at this to just mute that real fast. And then now let's get the energy cell or ender something or other. Yes, we actually have some right here. And then cable from mechanism. Okay. And we'll just simply put that right there. So that should get these guys off to the races. All right, so let's get the absolute tank placed down, and then we're going to grab the tubes from mechanism to get all of that into the actual absolute tank there. I'm also having an issue with the applied energistics where I cannot actually craft select things using auto crafting. It just kind of buffers for a very long time. I'm not sure. I have replaced the crafting coprocessors that we had down there with these 16 core crafting accelerators, and then I've replaced them back with the crafting coprocessors because these seem to be turned off. I'm not 100% sure what happened there, like they just would not come back online, and so I just stopped using it. I don't know if there's been I know there's been an update to Craftoria. I do know that, but I don't know if there has been an update specifically getting that working. So I'm not 100% sure what happened. I'm having to auto craft some of this parts and then just craft the rest of it manually to actually get this going, which is kind of getting annoying, but oh well, we will get through it. We will keep on keeping on. Let's get ourselves a chemical oxidizer. You know what? We're going to change this up a little bit. So I've added a tube line right here full of sulfur trioxide. I'm actually going to take off that tank, which is right here now, of water vapor, and I'm actually just going to set the machines right down onto that line so that way they will get filled with this, and I think this should work, I hope, and I don't think it should cause any issues, but we shall see. Okay, and it looks like I have disabled that one. We'll just change that back. Okay. And then we just need to make sure that our next connection is this pipe here. So we should be able to just cycle through these until we get to that one. Okay. And then we're also going to make sure that the other right side is also input for water vapor. I think I said this was a 2-to-1, right? No, okay, so it's just a 1-to-1. I didn't remember. All right. We don't have really any great upgrades for these. I was hoping we had like an energy gas kind of efficiency upgrade, but we do not. That is a-okay. Okay. So let me. How do I want to run power to these? What we could do to make this simple is probably get some entangled blocks instead of trying to run power here. I think that might be the most efficient way to do this, most likely. So let me get these guys configured real quick. I will get the entangled blocks, 16 of them, bind them to this block, the one in the center here, the chemical infuser, and then we will be fantastic. So let me just actually get those real quick. All right, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to grab 16 of these guys. Looks like we actually need to grab a handful of chests. And we'll hope we have enough of these ender pearls to actually get this here. Okay, so 16. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab our entangled binder. And I'm just going to set 16 of these blocks down. Okay, so if you guys don't remember how to do this, shift right click on the block you're looking at, right click here. Because shift right click is where you actually select the bounding box, right? So shift right click and then just right click. So I've done that for all of these. And then that way, we're able to pick these up and go put them where we need them, and they'll all be bound to where we need them. So what I can do here is I'm actually just going to grab, I don't actually have a spot, I don't think. I could put them here, but I want this to look a little bit clean, which I think so far I'm succeeding at it for the most part. Where is my shrinking device? It's not in there. It's right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to quickly just take out all of the blocks here. And we are going to then run a universal pipe under these. And then we'll grab an ender gate, ender cell, something along those lines. And then we will place all of these blocks down. We're not going to place them in any order because I'm not going to just look up every single time because this will highlight them, I do believe. Yes. And that is just, it's a cool feature, but not really something we can use right now. So, okay. So that should make that work, I hope. All these should be kicked off. Perfect. So that is getting us sulfuric acid. It looks like the water vapor is keeping up, so we're going to definitely not need 2 of them, but we're going to do it anyway. And then that is fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to quickly pull from this this tank here, get these lines filled, and then that way I can empty this and then use it for sulfuric acid. Because the sulfuric acid, of course, is going to have to be moved off into the chemical dissolution chamber with some fluorite. We're going to have to pull that from our system, most likely, which is going to cause some issues, but that should be fine. What is this? Ender helmet from useful hats. Okay. Sorry, I just got distracted there. Yeah, so sulfuric acid, block of fluorite in the chemical dissolution chamber. And that should be fantastic. So let's get this. I don't think I've actually set the output specifically, so let's do that real fast. Then I'll have to reconfigure these, but that's fine. And then, of course, we need tubes. All right, so make sure we have input all the way around on the sulfuric acid tank, and that should be solid. That should be our sulfuric acid production. I hope this is going to be fast enough. I mean, it feels like we are doing pretty decently. How's our sulfuric acid tank going down here? Oh, so we're tanking. Beautiful. Okay. I was hoping this would be enough, but it looks like we're not producing enough on the chemical oxidizer side here to get the sulfur. What is this? The sulfur dioxide, I do believe. Yes. So we're not getting enough sulfur from this modern industrialization setup to actually continue this. Shucks. Shucks, shucks, shucks. So what I want to test is if I were to replace this, I'm not going to replace this just yet. If I were to take this whole idea and I were to go and do the sulfur production through mechanism, I think this would just be an interesting test, nevertheless, kind of thing. So I want to look at that, but hold on. Is something? Let me look at this chest here real quick. So I don't think anything sulfur related is being thrown in here, right? Just the sulfur blocks from the main miner system. Okay. So how do we make sulfur, right? That is a good question. So this is the method here, right? You've either got doing coal blocks, charcoal blocks, coal, charcoal, or lignite coal in the pressurized reaction chamber. And it looks like you could even do coal dust. 100, 100. So this would probably be our best bet. We don't really have like a 100% efficient way to do this. I mean, coal is not really a resource that we're lacking in. Not at all. So let's just get this tried, right? Let's see what we can do, and we will detour for now. And I will, you know what? Let me run the test off camera, okay? If you guys want to know how to do this, I can do a tutorial on how to do this. I've done this in the past, I do believe, in one of the episodes. So I'm going to basically cut the production from these off by simply doing this whenever we're ready. And then that will allow for us to then only put sulfur from our reaction chambers in here. And that should give us a pretty decent estimate on how more efficient one or the other is. So let's go and give it a swing. All right, so I just completed the mechanism sulfur production, and this is definitely outpacing the modern industrialization by a lot. As you can see, we're gaining a lot of sulfur trioxide, and mostly because we have this line here, and this is disabled, right? This whole line is disabled and currently not running, so we know that this is basically outpacing this. And maybe if I had all of the basic upgrades, if I had a better power system, this may be better than the mechanism one, right? There's a possibility because this one produces 17 per, but this one produces, however many, like 9 per coal block, except for the fact that the only issue is that if we run out of coal blocks, which we are significantly decreasing very rapidly, we are going to have that issue, right? So I don't know if this is going to be sustainable, okay? That is a big possibility. We may run out. And I don't really have a way to get more coal blocks or coal or anything of that sort unless we had like a wither farm or something. That might be like an option, but I don't think it would be, or wither skeleton farm, by the way, not wither farm. So what I'm thinking is maybe we start looking at getting further into modern industrialization to get better power. All right, real quick, we're making a change to the system that we just kind of set up. I'm actually just moving the machines basically up and over. So that way we actually have sulfur trioxide being here. And this middle line will be where all of our actual sulfur dioxide comes out. And then we're actually going to use an entangler here with this tank. And then that way we can actually move this either up further into the chunk or down or to the side into another chunk. Not 100% sure, but I wanted to make this because I think this will allow for us to get more sulfuric acid at the end of the day, which is not a bad thing because we're going to need quite a bit of it. And of course, we also have power here, so we don't have to do a whole lot of like reconfiguring. The only thing we've got to really reconfigure is getting this fluid up here, which we can do that pretty simply. So we will do that here in a second. Let's just quickly make sure that everything's kind of set back how it needs to be. So we're going to do nothing on that. Input on the first slot here, and then output to the right. And then we will do input 2 on top. I think that sounds like a very good option here. All right, so let's reconfigure. So now all I need to do is get this over here, and we can actually take these guys out. And that should be perfect. We'll clear all these entangled blocks here in a minute. Okay. So we can grab what is called an entangleporter. So this machine here, this equipment, I don't even know if this is technically a machine, but we can take this and we can use this, I hope. Hope everything's going to craft. Sometimes we're having that issue still. And we can set this right here. And we can say this will be sulfur. Let's just do trioxide. Okay, and we want this not to happen. We have... Looks like we have sulfur dioxide in there, which is not what I wanted. Okay, so I've cleared this out. I had to use a gas pipe in between because it wasn't auto-outputting, but that should be fine. So let's clear all sides here real quick. Make sure we're solid on that. And then we're going to say on the up direction for chemicals, we're going to input. And here we're going to output. And that should hopefully fill this. Okay. And then with the other entangleporter, we're going to be able to set this up here. Not there. Here. You have to click on like one of these two larger pieces here because clicking on this doesn't always work. That's for sure. We're going to quickly clear all settings. And on chemicals, we're going to do output. And then we're going to do trioxide set. And then we're going to want to make sure that this is set to chemicals. And we can actually just then do output. And we'll grab some tubes. Also, we'll talk about what this is, the reactor nitro stuff for power. We need more power, but I'm going to worry about that once that gets finished crafting, which is crafting quite a bit of stuff, but it's also having that issue where it's not able to craft properly. Not 100% sure still, so we shall get to that later down the line. Okay, so we have to set that to output specifically, and this one I hope is receiving, but it doesn't look like it is. Make sure auto eject is on. Okay, that worked. Perfect. I'm not 100% sure. It seems a bit finicky there, but that's all right. So that should allow for us to then get the sulfuric acid, and then all we need to do now is replicate this and this over here, and that will give us more sulfuric acid for future use. I just wanted to do that because I think that'll make it a lot better. And one thing I want to do as well is actually pipe back in to this so we don't actually waste a whole lot of this that are in the actual tubes here, because that will be an absolute waste if we get rid of that. So that'll be fantastic, I hope. Okay. I'm also going to check on this. So I did remove that mechanism portion that we tested with. It does work pretty darn well, and I was able to kind of create a backlog using that, but I don't think it would have been that useful. And I actually used this to get some charcoal, which is actually hiding down here right now, because this was a pretty fast method. So that is now full, but definitely won't always be full. So we are not going to use this method, but hey, we got plenty of charcoal being made over here, which actually I think there's some upgrades in here. So we just kind of keep getting that charcoal. Perfect. All right, back on topic, because I keep just going back and forth. So these guys, it should be this one. Yes, these guys have 64 in here. There's some that don't because they didn't actually get crafted until recently. But now we have 64s in here because I've added more generators, and that will solve the sulfur problem. Okay, sidetrack again. I apologize if I'm jumping back and forth between odds and ends here. I think extended AE was the problem. Because I actually just broke all of the molecular assemblers, the larger ones, the extended molecular assemblers, I believe is what they're called. And they actually were still holding items. I don't know why they were still holding items, because this has never been detached or depowered or anything, of course, because we have several dense energy cells, so this thing should power itself without my energy for quite a while. But it just did not have output items, right? Like, it was genuinely a whole bunch of other stuff. Like, I have 48 tablets that dropped from this. I have like basic chemical tanks that dropped from it, glass, a whole bunch of odds and ends. So this is my solution for now. I actually just ran the reactor from Powah, which we're about to get into here in a second, and that fixed the problem I've been having. And I actually downgraded the version of AE2 that I was using to make sure that wasn't an issue. So I think it's extended AE, and maybe one of the updates that we have done with Craftoria broke it. And maybe extended AE is fine now if I just replace these. But for now, we're going to keep those molecular assemblers, and we're going to get into some Powah reactors. So I've never used Powah reactors. I'm going to just be honest here with you. I've never, ever used this. And, ooh, that is fancy. Building it for me. Okay, so we can actually come over here and do the exact same thing. And yes, we're building 2 of these at the exact same time, and hopefully that'll work. All right, with these reactors, we can do a couple of things here. So I need these to actually get more power to even run the sulfuric acid production and all the stuff that we're going to be doing in the future. So we need to kind of look at this, or I wouldn't be bothering. The best seem to be cryofluid, liquid air, or ether gas. These 2, of course, are top tier. They do require me to finish up the stainless steel line, I do believe. This one, actually, I have no idea. This is argon and helium. Argon is liquid air, so basically further down progression. Okay. And air intakes and all that require stainless steel plates and whatnot, and I really don't want to get into that right now. I'm just kind of avoiding modern industrialization. So what we're going to do is grab our ender tank that has water in it, and we are going to output water into both of these guys, and then auto mode. Let's turn that on. Turn on auto mode on these guys. That sounds fantastic. Okay, and then one more time. Let me just look up the reactor because I keep forgetting to just bookmark it for a second. There also are solid coolants that we could do, like dry ice. We could do blue ice, packed ice. These would still be better than water, but for now we're going to just call it there. And uranite. So how much power is this going to produce, like, right now? So if we toss in one piece, this is going to produce... So it looks like it actually has to heat up before it starts producing a whole lot of power. So we're already at, like, 3 million. Okay, and let's grab an ender cell. Let's go for nitro if we can. Okay. And battery. Can I grab a couple nitro batteries? I might want to change the power to one of these other channels. So that way we can just separate our current system from our main system. Maybe. Not 100% sure if that's a good idea. But we'll set this to 1 for now. And we'll feed this a couple batteries. That way we have more power gen. So carbon and redstone. Okay, so there is other things we can add in here that actually give more efficiency. So can I put a coal block in here? And then if I put in redstone blocks... I have no idea how these work, by the way. I've never used these reactors, so that's kind of why I'm like, what happens if I do this and what happens if I do that? No prior research before this case, so don't worry. Let's see. So this seems to be, yeah, the solid coolant. And if we were to grab can I block form this? No, okay, so it has to be the actual solid stuff. So this uses more fuel. This allows for us to use less fuel. And this is our main fuel piece right here. And of course, we can store a certain amount. And the higher temperature, the higher power, or the lower power? It looks right now like we are losing power the hotter this gets. Huh. Interesting. So now that I've taken out that redstone, you can see that it's actually going back up, but only slightly. So if we were to add something that had higher resistance, so if I have any dry ice, I don't think I actually have any dry ice, which is kind of strange. I barely have any other kinds of ice, right? I have packed ice. Let's just take a piece of packed ice. So this does -8. So yeah, ether gas or air, liquid air or cryofluid would make this much more efficient. Then you're always generating about that 300,000 is what I'm seeing. And I'm assuming like this is your side that you want to pull out of? Or is there a side that actually specifically pulls power out? So that is outputting power. So then if we did the exact same thing over here with another ender cell, because I don't have any speed upgrades on select pieces of the system right now over there because of this not having enough power situation. Okay, so pull out the redstone. So adding efficiency and adding... So these actually both have negative impacts, is what I'm seeing. So if I pull both of these guys, how much is our base power right now? Like... So I've got to kind of let these guys all go bye-bye. Okay, so at the current rate, so if we pull this out and let the carbon dissipate, it looks like we're about 200,000 FE a tick with the coal just being in there and the solid coolant being a thing. So if I were... I think I can make blue ice, can't I? So I'm wondering why you would put carbon and redstone in here in general. Now, when generating energy, the reactor heats up, causing it to consume fuel faster and generating less FE. So you need to cool it down using a coolant like water. Also, you can use a solid coolant like snow or ice for extra coolness. Solid coolant requires liquid coolant to work. Keep the reactor buffer full of fuel for better production. Carbon materials like coal or wood will improve the fuel efficiency and will add 180 degrees of heat. Redstone will speed up the production and the fuel consumption and will add... Okay, so this just speeds it up. This... Okay, so yes, fuel efficiency and speed, but you do overall lose more power. Okay. So basically, what I need to do is get the remaining... Like, get a better coolant, right? That's kind of what that's pointing towards. And I think I might want to do ether gas. That might be a good one to do. Might be, keyword. Okay. So I may let these guys run out of power and everything. Like, run out of fuel. I think they'll hold plenty of power temporarily. And I will look at getting that in the next episode. So I do apologize. We are kind of on another bit of a cliffhanger for this episode's ending. But we need more power. We need a couple more things. This just shows how unprepared this whole idea was, right? And I'm hoping by the end of this, we'll have an overabundance of power. We'll have an overabundance of antimatter. And that will be fantastic. But I really haven't focused on power gen like I did in the Direwolf 21.21 mod pack. So this is just me throwing it at the wall and seeing what sticks at this point. So thank you guys. Stay awesome. And I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.